Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I hope you're all okay. I can't believe it's only like a few weeks until my live event, which is absolutely insane. I can't wait. The sales have gone absolutely nuts on the tickets that we've sold out. And then we decided to extend the room for an extra 10 people. So it's still a very small event because we wanted it to be intimate, but we have got 10 tickets that are just about to go on sale. So if you want one, I'd bag one quickly. Anyway, I'm really excited about this episode because when I was in Saudi Arabia, I met a beautiful human being, Ali, who is a influencer and he's a beauty influencer. So I thought you are perfect for the podcast. I wanted to know, what is it like really to be an influencer, and should really brands be going down that route and using influencers as part of their marketing strategy? So I found out all the goss so I could share it with you guys. So without further ado, here he is. Welcome to the show, Ali. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Katie.
Oh, you're so welcome. So give the listeners a bit of an intro about you and what you do.
Hi, everyone who's listening. I am here with the amazing Katie Godfrey on her podcast. My name is Ali Majed. I'm a beauty content creator. I started on TikTok. I do skincare videos, I do makeup videos, and I'm from Saudi Arabia.
I love that. So I'm just going to give the listeners a little bit of context because they're like, how did you two connect? This is
Yeah,
different. But
yeah,
we obviously met in Saudi Arabia when I was speaking over there. And you
we did.
sat to listen to one of my talks, and we literally just turned around and hit it off, didn't we? And I was like, "Oh, what do
Yeah.
you do?" And we got talking, and I was like, "Oh my God, I have to have you on the podcast."
Uh,
Uh, it's great how connections are made. Like, so good. I love that. So take me back to what made you got into influencing. Like, is it something you always wanted to do, or was you kind of like chucked into it? What happened?
So I feel like my passion for my niche started at a very young age. And around 2016, 2017, when sort of the uprise of the beauty guru era happened, it was on YouTube at the time and a little bit of Instagram. I was so in it. I was completely enamored, so interested. I was in college at the time, and I was between breaks and of classes and on my lunch breaks and like on the way to school, I would be watching so many beauty tutorials, videos. I was just deep diving into all of the beauty content because it was a passion of mine for a very long time. But even the way just me stumbling upon like I grew up with the internet, but it was sort of the first time that I found this huge part of the internet that was just a large community of people who shared the same passion as I did. So I was just completely in it. And actually, I've been thinking about starting content creation in 2020 when COVID happened. And then it was just sort of a joking conversation. Like one of my friends was like, it's instead of bothering us about this stuff that we really don't care much about, why don't you tell the world? Why don't you start creating content? And started thinking about it. And I still remember it to this day, the first time I sat at a desk and I had like a pen and paper. I'm like, okay, so my first video is going to be like this. And my first video is going to have this thumbnail. And this is the script that I'm going to do. And I'm going to do this research. Um, to everyone who plans on being a content creator, who wants to be an influencer, or just in any category of content, do not do that. Over
Mm.
excessive planning for your first try, that's just for your first time, like posting content, that's too much stress. So I overburned myself without even opening my camera to film. So I flunked and I burned myself out without knowing about it. Skip to April of 2021. I was still in school. I was going to classes. I had some classes online and some of them I had to go to school at the time. And yeah, I just said that one day that I've been thinking about this for too long and it's now or never. And I still remember the very first time I like opened my camera on TikTok and like started recording. I was sweating. I
Oh
was
my God.
nervous. It was just so because I'm a very self-conscious person and I don't like looking at myself a lot. And a lot of
Mm.
content creators, I feel like they have that struggle is like you kind of cringe at yourself just a little bit when you watch yourself on camera. But yeah, I it took exactly 30 minutes for me to film like a 15-second video.
Really?
Yeah, so that's how I started. And obviously I've learned so much along the way. It's been just under 3 years now. Right now we're in
Wow.
March of 2024. So yeah, I learned a lot. learn how to film faster, how to edit faster, how to push content out faster. And yeah, here we are.
Oh my gosh. Like so it hasn't even been that long. It's not like you've been doing it years and years and years.
No,
Like
no, no, not at all.
that's incredible.
No,
Wow,
no.
good for you. So
Oh,
you
thank you.
mentioned about like when you watch yourself, you cringe and stuff like that. Like I think people have this perception that just because you're an influencer, like you love yourself, like you think this is great, this is why we
Oh
went
God,
into it.
no.
And it's not that at all, is it?
Oh no, not at all. Not at
It's
all. It
literally
is.
the passion.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's a passion, and it's the fact that you do feel burned out at the end of the day. Like if I film 3 videos to 6 videos to 9 videos a day, I will feel very exhausted at the end because you have editing, you have scheduling, you have emails to, especially when you get to a point where brands are like reaching out to you for like sponsorships or like ambassadorship programs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. So at the end of the day, if I'm doing so much work and I just feel miserable, I don't think I would have kept going for as long as I have. So definitely a passion. Definitely make sure to position yourself in a category or a niche of content if you want to be an influencer that
Mm.
you really, really enjoy. Like even when I'm not filming beauty videos, I consume a lot of beauty content. So I definitely agree with you. It's not as fabulous. I might have you ever had those days where you're filming content and like from the torso up, you look so put together, but it's like PJs and shorts and
Oh
fuzzy
yeah.
socks underneath. So it's like it's always like that. So you just have to have a passion, be patient for yourself, and know that it's a lot of work.
I really don't think people see that because I mean, I am not on your scale whatsoever. But when
Oh,
I have to film content for brands, like we had one recently for a bank, and it was all about like small businesses, like going
okay.
with this bank. And I actually bank with them. So I said, yeah, that's fine, I'll do it. But they were so strict with what content went out, what I
Oh,
said, what time it went out, what day it
I
went
hate
out,
that.
and all of
I
these
hate
different things. And I'm like,
mm,
wow, this is a lot of work as an influencer.
yeah. Yeah, I hate that when like I'm always super grateful when because I spent so much time of me being an influencer not being able to monetize it. So
Mm-hmm.
because I spent and I always say this to my followers, like I was very like the reward of the work was not a fair ratio for a very long time. For a very long time. Like the fruits of your labor when you're an influencer, it might take a long time to see it. So whenever I get like an email or like I'm approached by a brand, I'm always so grateful because I'm if I'm ever that means I have work, that means I have income, that means I'm not gonna like go starving. So I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for that. But I do get your point that I mean, a job is a blessing, but sometimes when you get jobs from brands where it's like you have to do this, like this, and this, and I'm like, why did you approach me, and why are you so keen on working with me if you want to eliminate so much of what
Mm.
I already authentically present, like what who I really am? Like, you think my followers are gonna connect with your script? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So do you find just being real and going on camera, like that's how it has to be rather than that scripted? Because even with like say my audience, those that are in the beauty space, but say got salons or they're therapists, I'm like,
Yeah.
put your face to brand. Like people want to know who's behind the chair. But
Yeah.
even them putting like just doing a face to cam for like 30 seconds
Yeah.
freaks them out. And I completely get that because the first time doing it is so scary, and you think everyone is judging everything from the bit of hair that's out or the eyelashes that
Absolutely.
need topping up, but it's like
Absolutely.
you just have to be raw, right? You just have to go for it.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you're setting yourself up for low key a disaster if you continue to present a version of yourself that is not authentic, that is not true to yourself. Because even if you're someone that, let's say, you have full intention of just presenting this persona that maybe isn't truly who you are, that will just make the work and the exhaustion much worse because not only are you working, not only are you filming content and you're making sure that it goes out to the public in the way that you want, but
Mm.
you're doing it while maintaining something that is not true to yourself. So it can be very for lack of a better word, detrimental to your own peace of mind as well. Because when I film content and I post, I go to sleep and I don't lose a blink. But
Mm.
if I were to push, I can only imagine if I were to push content out there for years and years where I'm presenting this persona that is such a 180-degree difference from who I am, I can only imagine how like a bit of a weight that would be on my shoulders. So be true to yourself because it will definitely contribute to your sustainability and will lessen just the exhaustion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So you've got over 330,000 people on TikTok, insane, and over 150,000 on Instagram. People dream to have these kind of numbers.
Yeah.
Where was there a time where you was like, oh my God, this has blown up? Like, was there a certain turning point, or was it that first video you done and it went viral?
I to answer your question, no, there were points, to be honest, because I feel like as a content creator, and you obviously can attest to this, there are certain things or certain videos or certain ideas that when you implement, you notice a really like intense reaction to it. So I guess I've had a few of those. I like to make sure that my audience is engaged. Like it's one thing for me to be captivated by someone's video or like the tips and tricks that I want to learn, but I feel like that's very important for me to just always keep the person engaged, like always keep that person, give that person a reason to just stay tuned. And I like to give back a lot to my followers. I like to answer their questions, and I used to do lives with them, and sometimes I do giveaways. So I feel like any effort from my end as an influencer to my audience, when they see that I'm trying to give back, like answering their questions or any of their concern or like doing a Q&A, that has immense engagement. So engagement and consistency, I feel like that's just incredible. But I feel like a turning point to me was when I hit 100K. And for the first time in my life, just like I've had my Instagram since I was in high school.
Mm.
So the fact that, and I'm 27 now. So the fact that this cute little nobody account that I made when I was in like ninth grade is now like at this scale is incredible to me. And I know it's nowhere near as big as other creators, but to me, that's just mind blowing because I started this when I was 16, like this account. And now the fact that 11 years later, I'm using this for that, it's just what life is weird. I'm very
Yeah.
blessed, but life is weird.
Yeah. It is weird and it's definitely a journey. And it's like it's still that consistency, right? As well. Some people do post that one video and go, this didn't work. I only got 10 views, then
Yeah.
don't bother
Yeah.
again. But
Yeah.
yes, it's definitely like that consistency. And like you said
Yeah.
about giving value, like I've just this week done like a 3-day challenge for my following, and
Mm,
it's been completely free. It's just been given loads of value. And
mm.
we literally made a community within 3 days of like raving
Oh,
people,
wow.
like talking about what's been happening in their businesses. They've been making friendships. And that literally is just from giving value, which is what people want. And I'm exactly like you, like I am driven by value. If I'm not giving value to someone, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, it's not
Absolutely.
for me.
Absolutely. I'm not staying around.
Yeah, definitely. So lots of marketing, well, companies and beauty brands use influencers when it comes to marketing nowadays. How important do you think this is for brands to do this?
Oh, I could go hours and hours. And I want to first address the elephant in the, not the elephant, but I sort of want to address this firsthand that even though I am an influencer, I speak of this with no biases. Obviously, I'm not trying to say that, yeah, we are the best marketing tools, but it is a really valuable marketing tool right now because I feel like a lot of influencers, it's not just a following, it's a community. And
Mm,
when you get hold of an influencer that has not only a huge following, but that following is a community, like people who will actually click the link, people who will actually get out of their house and get in a car or on a train and go to the store because of a product that you mentioned, that is powerful. And I feel like that type of influence comes with a lot of obviously a lot of benefits. And I feel like I was at a point where I used to think very narrow-mindedly, like why would I pay an influencer this much money to do a video, to do a 60-second video on my product? When if we're gonna be real, I know a lot of people who work in the marketing departments of their own companies and in different like industries in the world. And when I learned about traffic and just like conversion rates and all those like
mm,
like, technical references, I'm like, wow, like if we're gonna be real, what a company would pay for like a billboard on a busy highway for like a week is a fraction of that could be paid to an influencer, which is still could be like could be life-changing money to that influencer, or could be very satisfying. I should use the word satisfying, or
mm.
to that influencer, and they could achieve even better results. They could get even more brand awareness, and it's just so important. I don't want to ramble on, but like it's just so important, and it's. I feel like a lot of brands. I've noticed that some brands have still yet to see that value or recognize that value.
Mm.
They're sort of still a bit old school, which is fine, to each their own. but it's incredibly valuable. Like you are missing out if you are not going that route. So yeah.
Would it be best for then a brand to go to an agency and then they go out to the influencers, or is it best to go to the influencer directly? Because I know it's hard to get in touch with that person directly.
Yeah, yeah. I, I feel like it's a case by case thing, of course,
Mm.
but agencies, they come with their own pros and their own cons and their own like complexities. But yeah, I've been approached by the thing is when you go through an agency, I feel like adding a third party could, I don't know, could complicate the situation or could make it easy. Like I've had situations where it went very south and it went very good. So it was complicated on one end and it actually made the process much easier. And I was able to establish a relationship with a brand through an agency. So
Mm.
it could go both ways, but I would say it definitely depends. But yeah. So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Kate, I keep rambling on and I
No,
just like,
I love it. Like, talk at me. Like, I love it. And I know the thing is, loads of people don't really hear from influencers. They just see the TikTok. So it's
yeah.
really nice to get like the personality and like just the inside information of what really happens in influencers' life. So I know everyone's gonna love it. So you're definitely not
Oh, oh,
rambling.
thank you. Thank you.
And I've heard like loads of brands that say, well, I've sent product to this person or I sent product to that person. Actually, I'm a key example for this because we
Mm,
brought out a brow glue a couple of years ago, just after
yeah,
COVID. And my PR agency at the time, they were like, we've got all of these makeup artists, they were all UK based, send them out to these big makeup people.
yeah,
And we sent loads out. We didn't
yeah,
hear from anyone to even acknowledge that they'd heard it. So
yeah.
there's like this thing of, okay, well, shall we send stuff up to influencers because it's like obviously sometimes a waste of money, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. So how do we choose the right people?
Oh, I feel like if you're going to compare the difference between the benefits of working with a micro influencer versus a macro influencer, thank God, I've put in a lot of work and a lot of time for me to get to a really cool point for my page, without comparison, obviously, just for
Mm.
me, for my own scale. But I love the idea of brands, huge brands, reaching out to small influencers. I think that presents immense value to them. I think that if you invest in someone from a very early stage, you never know what this person could amount to be in like a year or 2 years, or even without betting on that, without betting on like a long-term investment. When people see that you are investing in micro influencers, the beauty community, for my instance, beauty, that community will sort of look at you at a very positive light because they'll see that you are a big like fish, you are a shark in the field, and you are giving opportunities to like very like early level people. So I think that comes with a lot of respect. I think
Mhm.
that comes with admiration. I think that actually, for me, that would make me more interested in being a customer for you.
Mm.
So, and obviously, dealing with macro influencers has its benefits as well. I mean, I when I was a nobody and no one had any idea who I was, I've had deals, and when I grew up a little bit, just bigger, I've had deals, and it's different. I'll be honest with you. I've noticed the difference of how brands treat you when you like sort, for lack of a better word, like level up in terms of numbers. And I hate talking about numbers or like follower count and all of that, but you do notice a difference. And I'm not complaining. It's just it's very interesting because you learn how the industry works and you learn how these brands navigate and how they see value differently in each person. So it's interesting.
Mm. How many followers would you class a micro influencer compared to an
Uh,
influencer?
oh, that's a great question. I'm not sure, but I remember when I had 10,000, I remember someone telling me very clearly that I am a micro influencer.
Yeah.
And so I would guess around that count. And I really don't know, to put it shortly, but someone with not as many followers and maybe not the highest yeah, just follower count. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it depends, right? Because I'm trying to think of my audience now when they're, say, for example, let's go with a beauty salon and they
Yeah.
want to go with like an influencer. It would only really be right for them to go with maybe a micro influencer in their area because of
Yeah.
they need local people, right? But then
Yeah.
if it's a beauty product you're trying to get out, then obviously you want to go with the biggest influencers you can because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
national or worldwide. Am I
Yeah.
right in saying that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It definitely depends on what you're trying to promote
Mm,
and who you are as a brand and where intention is a huge factor. What I've noticed, what I've learned is you can definitely tell the intention that the brand has based on who they're talking to. So I definitely agree with you on that. So,
yeah. Do you only recommend brands that you believe in, or is a job a job?
I believe that for me, I believe I'll say this. What a waste would it be if I spent almost 3 years working on a platform, cultivating this huge community, not huge, but this community that I so dearly love. And if I were to just throw anything and anything at them that I did not think was 100% worth me using or me purchasing, that's how I look at it. What a waste of energy and time and effort and work for me to have spent so much time working on something. And obviously, to be able to monetize it is a huge privilege for me. It's a huge like privilege. But I look at it as a trust thing,
Mm,
and I don't want to get too cliche. Also, business is business as well, obviously. At the end of the day, this is my living. This is how I make an income, how I live my life. Uh, but I would say it's a case by case thing. I would say it's a case by
yeah.
case thing. But I will be honest, and like I will spill a little bit of tea. I've had brands where they will talk to me about promoting a certain product, and maybe that product is like I would use it. It's not something like it would like burn my skin or give me a
Mm,
rash or something. Like I would use it, and I have used it, and it's totally fine. Uh, but I had one instance where a brand wanted to sell me something of a product of a category of something I've never used before, I've never promoted before, and they were like, "We want to be the first with you." And I'm like, "Listen, I've never done this, and I didn't want to be too rude to them. Like I
mm,
would consider promoting this type of product because I do use it, but I didn't like their specific product." So my kind of, and this is horrible, do not take business advice from me, anyone who's listening, but I kind of had this little sneaky trick that okay, I'm gonna make them back out by giving them a really high price. Like
mm.
I'm take my rate and I'm gonna like time it by two or like 105, 1.5, and sometimes they actually agree.
And then it's like a bittersweet, right? You're like, oh, I've got all this money. And the second's like, damn, you're going to say no to that.
And I end up just, and I hate ghosting, but I do end up ghosting them,
Well,
which is
you've got to
horrible.
do this. Yeah, but business is business, and you have got to do what you've got to do. And
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
you're staying in integrity as well, right? Like,
And even disconnect, like for me, as like let's take skincare for example. If I say that I don't like to use, let's say for example, mineral sunscreens, if from day one you've been following me for a while, or not even day one, from the first year, the second year, you've heard me say multiple times in my content that I don't like mineral sunscreens, and then out of the blue you see a paid partnership logo under a video where I'm talking about a mineral sunscreen, you have to consider also that even if I were to throw credibility or integrity out the door, there's a huge obvious disconnect, and the brand will see that as well. And for me, it is my responsibility as well, even if I were to approach something that's new, because it is a new vista for you as well. It's a new horizon. You can always test something out, and you can always like try it out and see if it works or not. You can always play that ground of just testing a product out if it's something that you wouldn't have considered in the past. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to also consider that the people will see that you just took this for the money, and the
yeah.
company's gonna and the brand is gonna get no return on their money that they paid, no conversions, no one's clicking on that like link because everyone can see the huge disconnect that's there. So people are
Mm,
not stupid also. So yeah.
yeah, that's so
Yeah.
true. So when it comes to, I want to know, like, what's your day to day like?
A day-to-day life. I wake up at around 9 to 10 a.m. I like to batch content. I try to do 5 to 6 videos a day. Then I'll sit on my couch, that little couch. I'll respond to emails, get back to anyone that I need to get back to. If I have any meetings, I will schedule them around like after like noon upwards. So like 12 to 2. If I have any calls or meetings or like any group video calls that I need to get on, I'll do that. And then the boring part starts of my day where I go and exercise, I work out, come back and I'll edit, or I'll batch content, or I'll respond to emails again, or I'll just stay at home. I'm a homebody. I just like to stay home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you edit your content, do you kind of edit within TikTok or do you use other platforms for that?
I used to use CapCut a lot because
Mhm.
a form of filming content, of producing content that I used to do, which was kind of exhausting, was I would keep the phone recording, like my phone would keep recording for entirety of the video topic or idea, and I would edit and I would like split the raw footage by myself. And I find that to be a bit more exhausting. So on TikTok, I'll literally film shot by shot, which sounds
Yeah.
insane, and but I've learned how to do it. I've learned how to do it well and how to do it fast. But yeah, I do edit now on the TikTok app only. That's it.
Yeah, a lot easier
Yeah.
for you. Do you
Yeah.
ever get creative block? It's a bit like when I write for magazine articles and it's like, okay, can you write another article for this, another article for that? And sometimes you just get content block. Like it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to write about. So writer's block when we're writing. Do you ever get like content block or just think I'm out of ideas, or does it just
Oh,
always come to you?
oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I feel like if I have nothing to like talk about, I go on the Sephora app or I go on like Beauty Bay or Cult Beauty, and I'm like, okay, what is trending right now? Like I need ideas, or I will literally get so like my brain will just like exhaust itself, and I'll go on TikTok and just write beauty, makeup, and you know how you can filter like last 3 months, most
Yeah.
liked, last week, most liked. So I'll try to do a bit of quick research when I can, but yeah, I definitely get creative block a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to keep that going.
Yeah.
So, lastly, if someone is listening and they're like, oh my God, I'd love to be an influencer, especially obviously the new generation coming up, right? I mean, my daughter is like, I want to be on TikTok star. And I'm like, yeah, go on,
Uh,
do. What tips would you give them?
oh my God. First of all, how did I would love to answer your question. How does that make you feel as a mother hearing your child say that they want to be on TikTok?
In two minds, to be honest. I mean, she sees me doing what I do, like, and she's been born into me doing videos and doing podcasting and standing on stages. So she's kind of been in that. So I don't
Oh,
really
okay.
think too much into it, but we'll see if it changes when she gets a bit older because she's only 8 at the moment.
Aw, that's adorable.
Mm,
Advice I would give to influencers, I would say just be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself. A lot of scrutiny. I find that with a lot of content creators who are just starting, a lot of self scrutiny comes from within when they first start because you are your own worst critic. Just be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, be patient. Um, I One of my favorite content creators, she was on a podcast. Her name is I Drew something. I forget her name, but she said that if you want to be an influencer, keep in mind that you're gonna see nothing from it for a really long time before you
mm,
start seeing any type of return. Keep that in mind. And subsequently, which what that means is if it's not fueled by passion, then maybe it's not for you. Just stay passionate, stay hungry, stay excited. And yeah, just be patient. I know it's such a cliche. I hate saying this because I hate it when people tell me this, but you just have to be patient and you really have to be kind with yourself.
but I totally agree when it comes to because it's you're running your own business. So it doesn't matter if you're in business when it comes to influencing or setting up a salon or a building company. Everything
Yeah,
comes down to being patient, right? Because everyone goes into this thinking this is really easy money, regardless if that's influencing or anything else.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is easy money. This is an easy life. And it's like you don't realize how much free stuff, how much work, everything you've got to put in before you start seeing the monetary side of it. Like it
Oh,
takes a long
absolutely.
time.
Oh, absolutely. And I made a video one time on my TikTok where it's like where I said, even let's say you land a huge deal with a huge brand and it's a lot of money in that contract. I'm sure you know this, but it's gonna be a while before you see a dollar from that
Mhm.
money that is in that contract. And even if it's like you get some of that now, you get some of it later. Later is gonna be very later, like
Yeah.
maybe end of year, even next year. So it's a lot. It's a
Yeah, which is why I always say passion has to come before money. Money you can lose in a second, but the passion keeps you going. Like the money
absolutely,
will flow if the passion is there.
absolutely, absolutely.
I'm going to put it in the show notes anyway, but what is your TikTok? So people can go ahead and follow.
So I have an Instagram. I'm active on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, but I don't post on there much. It's mostly Instagram and TikTok. My handle is at Mushu Majed. Mushu like the dragon from Mulan, because my mom nicknamed me after that character because I love Disney so much. And Majed, because my name is Ali Majed. So it's Mushu Majed, like my full name. So yeah.
Amazing. I'll put it in the show notes so you can all go and follow and go and check out all Ali's content. What do you think of YouTube?
I think the longevity of it proves that it is worth the investing. It is definitely worth the investment. So honestly, it's exhausting. YouTube is really hard. Long form
Mm.
content, like I'm pushing out like maybe 3 to 2 1.5 minute videos per day. And that's already pretty exhausting. So I can't imagine if every week I'm gonna post like a 15-minute video or like a 10-minute
Yeah.
video. It takes getting used to, but I think it's worth the work in the long run.
Mm.
I really do.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. I just love you so much. You're the most humble
Oh,
person ever. Like you're
thank
brilliant.
you.
So thank
Thank you.
you.
No, thank you. You're amazing. And I'm just I can't believe that we actually connected that day at Beauty World. Like I'm like, she's actually talking to me. She's actually talking
Oh,
to me.
it was I loved that day. It was so good. I
Yeah, it
met
was
so many good connections, like, and you guys are so friendly. So thank you for welcoming me.
of course, of course.
But I will speak to you soon and thank you so much. If you guys liked and loved the show as much as I did, please go and share it on your socials and shout us both out so as many people can reach it as possible. Thanks so much, my love. Speak to you soon.
Thank you, Katie. Bye.